You've done this more times than you realize. You decide, this is it. You feel clear, certain, like something clicked. And for a moment, it feels solid, like you finally got it. So you stay there. You think from it. You feel aligned. You move through your day differently. And then something happens. Something small, something subtle. You check. You think. You notice. You react. And just like that, you're back at the beginning, questioning again, thinking again, trying to get back to that state again, trying to lock it in again. But what you don't realize is you didn't lose it. You reset it. And this keeps happening over and over. You reach clarity, then you leave it. Then you try to get back to it. And that cycle is what's keeping everything from sticking, because nothing stabilizes. If you keep restarting isn't obvious. It doesn't look like I'm starting over. It looks subtle. It looks like checking, looking to see if something changed. It looks like thinking about it again, trying to figure it out, reanalyzing everything. It looks like reacting, letting what you see shift how you feel. It looks like questioning. Am I doing this right? Did I mess it up? Why hasn't it happened yet? And in those moments, you leave the position you were in. You leave certainty. You leave that state where it felt done, and you move into uncertainty again, into trying again, into figuring it out again. And that shift is the restart. Not something dramatic, just a small internal movement from it's done to what's happening, from certainty to checking, from having to looking. And every time that shift happens, you reset the process. You go back to the beginning, even if it only lasts a moment. Because what's consistent is what stabilizes. And if you keep moving between states, nothing sticks, nothing locks in, nothing becomes natural, because you're not remaining anywhere long enough. You keep leaving. You don't restart because you want to. You restart because something doesn't feel fully stable yet. Something still feels like it needs confirmation, like it hasn't completely locked in. So when something happens, your attention goes to it naturally. You notice it. You think about it. You react to it. Not intentionally, but automatically. Because part of you is still checking. Is this real yet? Is it actually done? Did it work? And those questions pull you out of the state, back into observation, back into analysis, back into trying to figure it out. And that's the restart. Because instead of remaining, you go back to searching, back to trying, back to getting there again. And the reason this keeps happening is because certainty hasn't fully settled, not intellectually, internally. A place where something feels final, obvious, not needing to be checked again. Because when something reaches that point, you don't leave it. You don't question it. You don't react to things around it. You just remain. But until that point is reached, movement continues. Shifting, checking, restarting, trying again. And that's what keeps everything in a loop. Not lack of knowledge, Not lack of effort, lack of stability. There is a state where you don't leave. Not because you're forcing yourself to stay, because there's nowhere else to go. It already feels settled, done, final. In this state, you're not checking. You're not thinking about it again. You're not reacting to what you see, because nothing you see changes where you are. It doesn't move you. It doesn't pull you out. It doesn't make you question anything, because the position is stable. It's not dependent on circumstances. It's not dependent on timing. It's not dependent on confirmation. It's internal, locked. And when something is locked, you don't revisit it. You don't restart it. You don't try to get back to it, because you never left. That's the difference. Not getting into the state, staying in it, remaining, without effort, without monitoring, without checking if you're still there, because it feels natural, obvious, like there's nothing else to consider. And from that state, everything stabilizes, because you're no longer interrupting it, no longer resetting it, no longer moving in and out. You're just there. And that consistency is what allows everything to stick. You were never stuck because it wasn't working. You were stuck because nothing was staying. You kept reaching the state and then leaving it over and over. Not intentionally, but through small shifts, checking, thinking, reacting, questioning. And every one of those moments reset everything. Back to the beginning, back to trying, back to figuring it out again. So nothing had time to stabilize. Nothing had time to become natural. Nothing had time to lock in. Because you kept restarting. But now, that ends. Because you see it clearly. You don't need to force yourself to stay. You don't need to hold a state. You don't need to try harder. Because once something feels done, you don't leave it. There's nowhere else to go. Nothing else to figure out. Nothing else to check. So you remain, naturally, effortlessly, without thinking about it. And from that position, everything sticks. Everything stabilizes. Everything reflects consistency. You're no longer the one restarting. You're the one who remains. And from that identity, everything follows. If this landed, anchor it. Comment, I don't restart, I remain.